Today you'll see a shirt dress, sneak peek, and from the same pattern I hacked it into a shirt as well because usually a dress can become a top. Both super striking prints. The details on this one are amazing. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing, and today I have this amazing shirt dress to share with you. I think it's a masterpiece both in the design and also I took a long time to choose my fabrics. It made a huge difference and I think both turned out really striking. And you know, I've said it before, this is a type of art form not in the traditional way, you know, we're not using clay, we're not using paint, that type of thing, but we are creating garments from a flat piece of fabric. It could look so different depending on the fabric that you choose. So I consider this a type of art. I'm an artist and I have masterpieces to share with you. In my eyes, of course, I think these pieces turned out absolutely beautiful. What I'm talking about today is the Ladera dress from Itch to Stitch. Took a little bit longer to sew because the details here are quite extensive. This is not a type of dress you're going to sew in an hour, in a day. I think it'd probably take you 2 days if you want to go slowly. Nothing here is hard. There's no technique that's super hard. It's just that there's a lot of details here. This is a shirt dress. It's got a classic collar stand and collar. I do have videos about how to sew collar stands and collars on my channel. For me, it's always the same technique. There is a traditional technique that I do enjoy. So anything that I find will help you sew this, I will link it down below. The button placket that goes all the way down to the bottom has two options. One is just to sew a regular button placket where you would see your buttonholes and your buttons just like usual. The other option is for you to do a hidden button placket feature. That one is a separate pattern piece and that goes on the right wearer's side where you would do your buttonholes. So that's an option and I think it's gorgeous. I have taken that option for both of my versions. This is a dress that has a bodice waist seam front and back. At the back, it's a regular seam. It's slightly curved and everything, but at the front, this seam incorporates these ties that you see there in the line art. So these are not simple ties that you sew up and then you sew on the side seam and then just tie it up. No, these are in the front bodice piece and the front skirt piece. Very interesting sewing construction. I think it's gorgeous. It's really beautiful, bulk free, and it's just amazing to tie up at the front. What can I say? For shaping, you have bust cup sizes from A through to double D. You're going to have a bust dart here on the side. Depends on what cup size you're sewing, how large that intake is going to be. At the back, you also have darts at the waist on the bodice and on the skirt at the back. So very beautiful shaping. The skirt in general is A-lined. The original length is meant to be midi length from what I gather, sort of below the knee type of situation, but you know, you can always adjust and make it the length that you prefer. Mine is a little bit shorter. There are inseam pockets here that I'm not going to sew. These are the types of inseam pockets that are lower than the waist seam. They're just separate pieces that just sort of dangle at your upper thigh. Very classic type of inseam pockets, I'd say. It's just that I'm not a fan, so I never sew inseam pockets, but I will leave you a helpful video on inseam pockets linked down below if you want to check it out. Sleeves, 3 options here. There's a regular short sleeve with just a sleeve you set in and you hem it. Normal would take a few minutes to do, and that's the type of sleeve I've done with my dress. But then there's short sleeves that have a tower placket and a pleat with a cuff right here, and that same feature of the tower placket and the pleat and the cuff can be on the long sleeve. So lots of options for you. I think if you do end up going the placket route with the pleat and the cuff, it's just going to lengthen your sewing time by quite a bit. At least that's what I experienced with my second version where I did that. Nothing terrible. I'm just letting you know it's not going to be a fast sew. That's okay because not everything has to be done in 1 hour. I think these projects that have all these details turn out amazing and can just make you feel really proud that you actually made something like this. At least I'm super amazed at these creations. Whenever I see them, I'm like, I made it, you know, with all my sewing experience and everything. I'm still always really satisfied when projects like this come together, from just a piece of fabric to something like you're going to see in a little bit. Because the Ladera shirt dress is a brand new pattern at Itch to Stitch, it'll be 20% off through Monday the 30th of September. I will leave you my affiliate link right at the top of the comment section pinned so it's easy to find. Also in the description box. If you end up clicking on my affiliate link, it takes you directly to the website and to the page where you'll find this pattern. And if you end up purchasing, I do receive a small commission back from the designer. That is one way I make an income creating helpful videos for you here on YouTube. So if you use my link, I'm super grateful. It doesn't cost you anything extra. You don't pay anything extra for using it, but it does support the work that I do here. Fabric choices here. This is designed for woven fabrics. Do not try to sew this in a structured knit fabric. I think it would be really, really hard to work with, bulky. It would just ruin the whole experience and the look. I get this question so much when I talk about woven designs. There's always a few comments and questions. Can I use a structured knit? You mean like a cotton spandex or a ponte roma? Those are not fabrics that are going to work with this design. I would not. So I'm just telling you my opinion here. So let's keep it woven. Let's keep it light to medium weight. Structured fabrics, I think, are the best for this design, both in the fact that it's going to be easier for you to work with them. And I think it will just show off the details a bit better. You don't need drape for this design. You know, you don't have big volumes and gathers and things where I usually prefer flowy fabrics. So you can use flowy fabrics as well. In the structured department, you have your 100% linen, which is amazing. A little pricey. So on the more affordable options, you have the linen blends, like the linen cotton blend, which is one of my options, my dress, linen rayon blend. Then you have cotton rayon blends and all these blends, all types of cotton shirting, chambray, poplin. Even a really lightweight denim would be amazing. I've chosen a cotton shirting poplin for my second version. Striking color, beautiful. And the best thing is the wrong side is white, so it was easy to film the tutorial. For flowy fabrics, I would not want to make this with 100% rayon, really lightweight fabric, you know, the plain weave. I would say rayon twill would be better, tencel, a crepe, something with a bit more body. As I said, you don't need drape for this design. It would just be personal preference on how you like these fabrics to feel. You need an amount of fusible interfacing for the collar stand, the cuffs, the button plackets. I'd say you need a medium amount of fusible interfacing. I use really lightweight stuff, and you need a few buttons. Sizes go from 00 to 40 US. You have cup sizes A through to double D. Cup sizes, easy. If you don't know about this, it's different than your bra. You measure your upper bust, you measure your full bust, you take that difference, and according to the chart there, you see what your sewing bust cup size is. Mine, 3-inch difference makes me a C cup for my sewing, so that's what I use. Amazing results. The bust dart here will be shaped for that, and the ease as well. So you just get a better fit from the get-go having these bust fitting options. So yeah, 10 out of 10. The ease for this one, about 4.5 inches of ease at the bust. At the waist, you know, according to the chart, it's about 8 inches, but it's not like it's going to fit loose. Remember those tie features that you tie up is just going to cinch it in as much as you want it to be. You can do it super tight or just, you know, a little bit or not there. So it's adjustable. Lots of ease around the hips, 8 to 10 inches because it's an A-line skirt. I love that at the back there's a separate bodice seam going across horizontally. It can really get rid of sway back fitting issues because there's a slight curve in both of those seams. So if you get the bodice height right, you're going to have an amazing fit with the darts at the back. I love the fitting features of the dress at the back. I think they are amazing. Personal fitting, for me, it was super easy actually, pretty painless. I just chose my size 12. For all this upper area, C cup, blended to a 14 at the waist, and then the skirt is also a size 14. I made my skirt pieces 2 inches shorter because I wanted mine not to be a midi length. And then for fitting as such, all I did was lower the bust dart by 5/8 of an inch. Very common fitting adjustment for me. I'll also leave you a video link down below showing you how to do that with a dart. Very easy. That was all. The bodice hits my waist. I did flat pattern measurements to check that beforehand. I didn't need to make my bodice shorter or longer. Don't just assume that because maybe you're a little shorter, you're a little longer, you need to make bodice adjustments because everyone has different height proportions. I'm the type of tall person with a short torso, so my length is from my waist down to the floor. So usually bodices fit me perfect. You know, most length adjustments I have to do are on the sleeves, on the legs of pants and things like that. So it's really important that you check your vertical proportions as well. I have a video talking about this in depth. So I'll leave that link down for you as well. For sewing, I'll be showing you a little summary of general construction. This was the pattern that I've sewn for my Patreon monthly sew along. So the full on detail is on my Patreon page. It's a 4-part sew along because there are plenty of steps and plenty of details to see. If you ever want to join my Patreon page and my exclusive content, you'll be getting very, very helpful content, exclusive that you won't see here on the YouTube channel. I do post a lot of helpful content here as well for free. Anyone can see my YouTube channel, but there's even more over on my Patreon page. That was my 30 seconds of self-promotion. Let's get into see how to put this together. I'm going to focus on the hidden button placket, which I think is super unique. These are my placket pieces, and this is the wrong side. You can see I have interfaced the whole piece for both the one that's on the left and the one that's on the right. In the instructions, you'll see a different thing. You'll see that you interface only sections of this, leaving parts of it free. I guess it's to reduce the bulk, but it would increase the time that this takes, and I wouldn't be able to block views doing that. So I just decided to interface the whole thing. I had a great result with the dress I made. I don't feel it's too bulky. Also, this is super lightweight fusible interfacing. It's almost transparent. So I don't feel that I'm doing anything wrong here. I'm just making the process a little easier. But if you want to, there are specific amounts that you need to cut in strips like this. It's all described in the instructions, but I'm not going to do that. I just interface the whole thing. What you can see here are the back pieces. That there is the yoke. There's 2 layers right there. I've got them folded. This is the back piece. There is a dart right there. And this is the back skirt. There is also a dart right there. And there is a back waist seam. Now my skirt is a lot shorter. The sewing technique won't change at all. The only difference is that you're going to have longer side seams if you're sewing the dress. So what I'm going to do is going to help you anyway. It's just that I've already sewn a dress. These are the collar pieces, collar stand and collar. The layers that you see on the top are the interfaced ones. Underneath I have the non-interfaced layers. Here are the front pieces. This is the front bodice. There is a bastard over here. And this is where the waist seam is right here, but it incorporates this tie that goes off like this. So that's how the front looks. And then this is the front skirt that also has a tie right here. So you can see this little bit, this short area is going to match that short area when we sew it together. And that curved area is going to match that curved area. And then the ties are going to be sewn together. And we're going to end up with a front piece that already has the tie in there. Super cool technique. And looks so much better than just sewing a tie on the side seams and just tying it up at the front. I have asymmetrical button plackets. I've chosen to do the hidden button placket feature just because it's something extra, something cooler for you to see. That's why this larger one is the one that's going to have the hidden placket. This goes on the right side of your body, on the right wearer's side, where the buttonholes would usually go. And then this smaller one is going to go on the left side, and that's just going to be a regular facing. If you don't want to do this one, then you just cut out 2 of these, and it's really, really simple. So whatever I do on the left side is what you would do on both sides if you don't want the hidden button placket feature. Here is my short sleeve. I'm doing the short sleeve because I know realistically that's what I'm going to wear the most. The technique of sewing the pleat and the little tower placket here will be the same if your sleeve is long. So whatever I'm going to show you here is going to work. It's just that these little tower placket pieces are going to be a little bit longer if you're doing the long sleeve version. So sometimes on some patterns you see that this piece is all in one, like this. In this case it's separate. So you have a short binding piece and the tower placket piece separately. Super cool technique. And there's a few marks that you need to do right here on your sleeve. Remember, the placket is always on the side where you have the double notches. It's always towards the back of the sleeve. And there are 2 little marks for a pleat there. This is a cuff that's going to go after that. So I have four pieces. 2 of them are non-interfaced, 2 of them are interfaced. I have to pair them up, 1 interfaced, 1 non-interfaced. I've got the bodice right here on the table, right sides up. Hanging off the table is the yoke and the back. I'm just going to let that hang over there. So what I'm going to do is bring the front skirt pieces and put them right sides together. You can see this side has a straight edge. That's the center front. That's the center front. This little angle here matches this little angle there. And this is how this is going to go together, like this. At first it looks pretty funny when you put it together, but it's just about matching this area that has that angle right there. That's how this looks. at the sewing machine, I'm going to pin this accurately, and we're going to do a seam that's pretty funny. It's across like this up to a dot that's on the pattern. At that dot we pivot, and then we keep going down like this, pivot down here at the point, go up and along this curve there, and then we finish. And that is the side seam over here. This is the height of the waist. Here is one of the ties sewn. This is the side seam. This is actually the waist area, and the tie over here. This is a little angle where here's a little pivot area that we need to snip into right there. Now this is cut diagonally. This is actually a bias cut there. It's not going to start fraying, but I'm still going to put a little bit of fray check there later. This is going to allow us to press this open. This is close to the center front over here. And then we can turn the tie right sides out. And then in this area, this is going to be at the waist. We also can press it open up to a certain point and just turn this tie out, right sides out. Pull it out through here. It'll be a little bit fiddly. Okay, here are the two front pieces on the table, right sides up. And you can see how the ties come from this bodice seam. Super cool. Once the shirt is done, then we can tie it up like that. Now we're going to start working on the hidden button placket. This goes on the right wearer side. We're looking at it from right sides up, and you can see all these marks, buttonhole marks. I only did a few. It's important to know what side they're on. And then these two lines down further on the same side where the buttonholes are, there is a waist mark right there. Now there's going to be plenty of pressing as we go along, and I'm going to lose these marks from the friction pen. So I'm going to just do a guide stitch right on top of them, because the guide stitch is going to remain and it's not going to go away if I press certain areas or not. I'm going to use a longer stitch length. I am going to use the matching red thread. I think a guide stitch is a good idea. There's the guide stitches done. That's going to remain. I'm not worried that these are going to come out if I do some pressing. I've also marked the sides of the buttonholes there. I did that with just thread, easy peasy. Now on the opposite side where the buttonholes are, on the other raw edge where we don't have the buttonholes, we need to fold that in by 1/2 inch. So I'm also going to do a guide stitch there and get that pressed. That's really important, and it's another step I think is going to help with accuracy. What we have here is a wider placket, and the side closest to the buttonhole marks, that is what goes along the raw edge. But this goes right side to wrong side. We have both pieces with wrong sides facing up. And we're going to align it all along the center front. Remember, we have a waist notch that should match the waist seam over there. That should be exactly on top of each other right there. And I'm going to pin it from the top to the bottom, and then we're going to get this sewn with 1/2 inch seam allowance. Straight seam, pretty simple. As well as most areas, I'm also going to trim the seam allowance down to 1/2. I think 1/4 inch inside this placket is going to avoid bulk, and especially you don't want to leave a big seam allowance in here because we're going to be doing buttonholes later. Okay, so the placket has been sewn. I'm at the iron. I've got the right side of the fabric facing up, and I've extended this placket here. You can see that the placket is the wrong side up and the bodice is right sides up. Now we need to press the seam and fold this placket all the way over on top of the bodice. So as usual with seams like this, I'm going to press it open first just to really set that seam. And then I'm going to go ahead and press the placket onto the bodice. I think that gives you a nice crisp result. And if I hadn't have done those guide stitches, all my little marks would be gone by now. My guide stitches are still firmly there. So now you just need to make sure you're pressing right on the edge so that it's really, really neat. Remember, all that placket is going on top of the bodice here. This is the right wearer's bodice. This should be on the right side of your body when you wear it. Now that everything's pressed and we can see really neatly, this first line that we see here from the guide stitches, this is where now we need to do a basting stitch to hold this all in place. My guide stitch is really easy to see. I'm just going to do this by hand basting. It's going to take no time, and it's going to hold that area in place really firmly. There you can see my white hand basting. I did shorter stitches just to keep it nicely in place so that area does not move at all. Then you see all my buttonhole marks. These are personalized to me. I'm not following the references on the pattern as usual because usually there's a buttonhole mark missing at my own bust height. Okay, buttonholes are all done. We're back at the pressing board. Everything's extended there. You can see all my buttonholes. Now what we're going to do is fold this button placket towards where the buttonholes are. Part of the button placket, you'll see it wrong sides up. That basting stitch that we've done previously is going to stop that. So that basting stitch is perfect. Let's fold it up. The basting stitch is going to make that fold stop. and that's where we want to do the next pressing stage. So let's give it a good press, set that really, really well. And after we set this and press it, we're going to turn the blouse so that we have wrong sides up. You can see all the buttonholes. I think this fabric choice was perfect for this tutorial because you can really see the wrong side here and where the buttonholes are. What you need to do now is draw a little line right in between each of these buttonholes. I'm just going to use my ruler and my friction pen. I have a distance there that I can eyeball the half point. If you can't eyeball that, then I suggest you measure that distance so it's really, really neat. And then we're going to go to the sewing machine and sew that through all the layers, just like it is, keeping it as you see it. That's how we're going to sew it down. Here we are at the sewing machine. We don't want to sew past that basting stitch that we have. I can see it, it's white thread, but I can still see it. Let's start about 1/8 of an inch from that basting stitch and then sew to the edge of the placket. And it's just a short little seam, many of them. I ended up having a line right in between these two buttonholes, and it ends up being right at the seam that joins the bodice with the skirt. That's fine. I'm going to sew right into that seam. It's not bulky. Okay, after sewing all those lines, we're going to turn our garment right sides up now. And from this side, you can see all the lines. You can see where I reinforced as well. And now all we need to do is bring that folded edge that we have on the top edge of the screen and just fold it back onto itself to cover that seam. And that's how we're going to get our hidden button placket right there. So this needs to be tidied up and pressed. I'm going to hand baste that down before edge stitching, and that's going to complete the hidden placket. It's like a little type of accordion, and you can see that that guide stitch that was still there is actually going to end up at that fold. I am going to be removing that guide stitch, and it's such a neat technique. There is my hand basting done. I've got it right there on the edge. Everything's super neat. And now I'm going to use a presser foot you've seen me use before. It's an adjustable blind hem presser foot. You can adjust, and I can do easily a 1/8 seam allowance here to sew on the edge super neatly. We're going through quite a few layers, but that's okay. I have the appropriate needle and thread. Okay, and that is how our button placket looks like. It's super neat. Now from the wrong side, I am going to remove those basting stitches because they don't really need to be there anymore. The placket that goes on the left wearer's side is much easier. It's the narrower piece. This one I've also pinned it, but this time traditionally both are right sides together, matching that little waist notch that you have there to the seam of the bodice that unites the bodice and the skirt there very nicely. And this is a very easy straight seam, 1/2 inch seam allowance. Remember, we had already done the guide stitch and the memory crease for that fold you see on the other long end. After that, I'm also going to trim the seam allowance down, and then we're going to press it and flip all of this towards the wrong side. It essentially is like a button placket facing on the left side. And remember, if you don't want to do the hidden button placket, you just repeat this on the right and the left side, and you're going to have a regular placket with exposed buttonholes and buttons. I have already pressed this left button placket to the wrong side. It's super neat, but before I top stitch that down, I do want to finish the center at the bottom differently. So I'm folding that placket onto itself right sides together, and I'm going to do a tiny little seam at the bottom using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance because that's what my hem allowance is going to be later. Then I can flip the bottom of the center, and then when I flip it, it's going to be super neat, finished at the bottom. And then the hem allowance is going to come behind this left facing that we have there. That's just something extra. Now that that's flipped and the bottom edge is done, I've hand basted that down, and now I'm edge stitching the left placket. Very easy. I'm using my helper, the presser foot that I think is amazing. Here is my dress. When I bought this fabric, I bought a lot of yardage because I really liked it. Linen cotton blend. It's a border print. So there's a lot of light tones with beige and some flowers sparsely, you know, in the print. But as we get to the hem, you get the beautiful darker pink tones there with the flowers. So nice, easy to work with. Collar stand and collar right there. I left the darker tones here and on the sleeves. This is a regular short sleeve with a regular hem. So that was easy. Here is my bust dart right there. I think it turned out super discreet. So nice. I love the details here. Collar stand. At the back, we have that waist seam with the darts right here and the darts for the skirt. Little yoke with 2 layers right here. And then the skirt is just an A-line skirt. This is the star though. These are the ties that you knot up at the front. Just one simple knot. Just a simple tie. You don't need to do this double. I'll undo it. You can see it comes directly from the dress, from this area. It doesn't come from the side. So it's really bulk free and it gives a beautiful shape right here when you're tying it up. It's amazing. This dress is so beautiful on its own. When I wear it, I'll probably just wear it like it is with some shoes and something. So it's not like I can style it a lot of ways, but you will see how it fits everything. And then I found the jacket in this caramel color that's in the print that also matches. So you'll see it two ways, by itself and with a jacket. This is my Ladera dress from Itch to Stitch. This is just so beautiful. I can't stop smiling while staring at it made. This is a size 12 with a C-cup bodice blended to a 14 waist and then 14 size skirt as well. The details on this shirt dress are amazing. Maybe you can see the tie from far away, but here it is up closer. The tie is incorporated into the seam of the front bodice and the front skirt, so it doesn't come from the side seams, and when you untie it, it's a nice loose fit, giving you that adjustable option if you tie it up as tight or as loose as you want. The back has a seam, fits exactly at the small of my back. There are dots there. I think the shaping is phenomenal. The fit is amazing, and the tie is just the cutest little shaping feature in this dress. It's so beautiful. There is a basta on the bodice as well that I lowered a little bit. There is the classic collar and collar stand. I chose the hidden button placket feature. Here I am buttoning one of these at the top, and you see it's all inside. It's like a little accordion type placket and it hides it all. Very neat. I have short sleeves. Collar and collar stand is very neatly done. There are other sleeve options. This is the most simple one, and this was so enjoyable. Great shoulder, sleeve fit mobility, and at the back there are 2 layers of the yoke, neatly burritoed, enclosed seams at the shoulder seams, all of that good stuff. And it's just such a beautiful dress. It's gorgeous just to wear on its own because so many features here are lovely. The fitting details are amazing. I feel so great in this dress, and that's why after sewing this one, I really wanted one in a shorter version, like a shirt. So next version is a little bit hacked, but this is just gorgeous. I love this border print. Here is one option for when I need a layer. This caramel linen jacket is shorter. It is actually ready to wear. I have matching shoes, and in the print towards the bottom, there is quite a bit of caramel color there, if you can see above the pink flowers. One option, I think my first option would have been to have a pink jacket, which I'm gonna work on and make a shorter pink jacket, so I have another option. So I'd probably wear it on its own, but this is one way that I found I can put a light layer on the top if it's a little chilly and still feel that it makes sense with the colors. I really love this look as well, nice and casual. Here is my second version. It's a cotton poplin shirting, really striking print, gorgeous. There is the collar stand, hidden button placket. You can see that my wrong side is white, so you can see my buttonholes and everything there. This side has the regular button placket there. Bust darts over there, very hard to see. These are the gorgeous sleeves that have the little tower placket on the back and the pleat. You can see the little tower placket right there. The cuff. One thing to note is that these cuffs are rounded right here, so they're not rectangles. I think it's a beautiful detail there. Hard to see with the print though, but maybe if I put my fingers here, you'll see the roundness of the cuff. Beautiful. With this one, the buttonhole is seen, so I found these 2 white buttons and I sewed it right through. I didn't put a buttonhole there. It's just not practical to be undoing a button and all of that at this area of the body, so I just left that fixed. It's more of a decorative feature for me anyway. I think if I'd made the shirt dress with the long sleeve, I would have done actual buttonholes. I've said it 1,000 times, I don't have issues making buttonholes. I'll make 1,000 if I need to. But if it's something that's not needed for functionality, I'm not going to do it. So I didn't. At the back, there's the yoke, the seam, the tie. The only difference with this one is that it's a shirt. All I did was take the skirt pieces and I measured 16 inches up, and leaving the same curve as you had originally, I measured 16 all along the hemline and drew my new line, cut the bottom piece of the skirt off, and voila, a shirt. So from the waist seam down, I wanted to have about 8 inches. That's a length that I like. It's going to end up at the mid hip, and that is how long I wanted my shirt. So, you know, you could call this a hack, but really it's just making the skirt shorter. It's nothing that takes any creativity or genius, nothing like that. It's just making it shorter. And I think it's another option. I really wanted to have a shirt because it's just more versatile for styling. So because with this one, you can really see the things that are going on inside. I'm going to turn it wrong sides out. With the other one, I didn't because it was all really light tones. You couldn't really see anything. Cotton poplin is so crisp and it was so nice to work with, easy to press. Yeah, it was a delight. So I suggest you find a fabric that is easy to work with when you have a project like this one that has so many little details, because it's going to make your life easier in some ways. Okay, there we have it. There is the back, 2 layers of the yoke. There is the waist seam that I've pressed open. That's over there. This is how this looks like from the inside. This is the regular button placket that you're seeing there. The hidden button placket is on the outside. Here's the waist seam, and in here is where these ties are. So yeah, if you put your hand inside, you're gonna put your hand inside the tie. So there's a seam there and a seam there, and then in the middle section you have all those ties. The tower placket on the inside doesn't leave you any raw areas or anything ugly. It looks really nice on the inside. And there we have our cuff. This is so beautiful. I can't wait to wear this out. It's going to be a super special shirt for me. I think it's amazing. This is the same Ladera shirt dress, only it's a shirt this time. I shortened the skirt pieces by 16 inches, both front and back, and I ended up with a shirt instead. Love it at the mid-hip length. All the fitting details are the same size, same everything. It's just a shorter skirt. This is a cotton poplin with a really striking red and white print. It's so beautiful. The ties are there. It's my favorite feature of this shirt. It's just so amazing. The fit is outstanding. The cotton really easy to work with. The darts, all the seams make the fit outstanding. The collar stand, the collar, hidden button placket as well. When you do a hidden button placket, you can use really simple buttons like I have here because no one's going to see them that much. So they're just normal shirt buttons in white. This time the short sleeve has an extra detail. At the back, you'll see a tower placket with a cuff. The cuff is slightly rounded with a little button, so that's something you can do. If you want a winter dress, you can make it long sleeve. There's the option as well with a tower placket and cuff. I just live in hot climate and thought this was going to be more versatile for me. Same yoke at the back, it's all the same, it's just a different look. And I know if I have a shirt, there's more ways to style. It's just more easy to put up different looks with it. This time I have the Quebec skirt from Itch to Stitch in a stretch cotton. This is a really comfortable pull-up skirt with an elasticated waistband, and I think it goes perfectly underneath my Ladera shirt. Could not keep my ready-to-wear flare white jeans out of the picture. I think this is amazing. It's just so nice. I've kept the silver accessories, you know, the shoes and the bag. I think silver is a color that blends really well with these tones, you know, instead of just using red or white. So that's an option and it's so nice. The jeans are fitted at the waist and hips, but because they are a little loose at the bottom, I think it looks balanced with the shirt that's a little shorter. So yeah, love this look, a classic. I couldn't really go wrong, and this shirt makes me feel amazing. One of my best colors, the red, plus the features, the details, the style, and I'm one happy person that sews. Here's another option with straight leg linen pants in navy. I think navy, red and white are a color combination that you also can't go wrong with. I've kept the shoes in navy as well, just to tie in with the pants, and this time I have a red bag. Another casual outfit I could walk around all day in. The sandals are tiny, they just have a 2-inch heel, and I'm pretty used to walking in that type of heel. I think this is the look I'm gonna wear in real life the next time I go out somewhere. Anywhere, I'm gonna go out in this look and feel amazing. Love it. So if you want a shirt out of this pattern, even though it's not an official option, it's as easy as cutting the skirt pieces shorter and you have another option. I'm just so happy with these two. I don't know which one I love the most. They're all going to be worn in separate occasions. I think this is a more dressed up type of garment. This one I could dress up and dress down as well. I'm happy to have a shirt version as well. You can do one too if you want to. It's nothing hard, and it just means I can wear this one a lot more ways than I can wear a dress. Highly recommend. If you want to sink your teeth into something amazing that you're going to be super proud of, I really recommend. As I said during the pattern review, it's not a pattern that's going to take you a couple of hours to sew. It's going to take a longer time, but with a longer effort, you know, the satisfaction is so much higher, I think. So I highly recommend. Remember, the Ladera dress is on sale through Monday the 30th of September. If you want to grab it for a little bit less, my affiliate link is in the comment section down below. Thank you for coming to hang out with me a little bit today. I'll see you soon with another sewing video very soon on this channel. Bye.